r/Nosleep. Posted by u/gamertrain01. My neighbors asked me to homesit, they have some peculiar rules. Part 2. I sat down on the couch, trying to process everything that just happened. Eventually I gave up and decided to rest my eyes a bit. I made sure to set an alarm like some of you guys suggested so I wouldn't miss any rules from now. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard my alarm ring. I got up to fill Lex's spare bowl with the special feed. I looked around the fridge for a while until I finally found the special feed tucked tightly into a corner between 2 bottles of rum. I'm not surprised. I hastily filled the bowl with the special feed. I'd expected the special feed to be concoction of exotic meats, maybe even human flesh, but it looked pretty much like normal dog food. Smelled way worse though. I left the bowl out on the porch, locked the door and stood with my back to the door. I heard footsteps. It was here. Then I noticed something else. It wasn't a 4-thumps you'd hear an animal make, instead it was 2. It was human or humanoid. Somehow this made it worse. I could feel the hair on my arm stand up straight, my heart was throbbing in my chest. I was regretting standing so close to the door. I moved forward slowly, careful not to make any noise. Upon reaching the couch, I went behind it and leaned on it. I didn't want to risk turning around and accidentally catching a glimpse of that thing. By now that thing had reached the porch and I could hear its footsteps on the wood. It stopped right before the front door where I had placed the bowl of feed. It made a horrible slurping noise as it ate. It sounded like someone slurping up noodles, but the noodles were also crunchy. It sounded so disgusting I could barely stop myself from puking. I don't know how Sarah and Eva have handled this every day for an entire year. I ran to grab my noise-canceling headphones, not caring if I made a racket on the way. I put them on and blasted some music so I wouldn't have to hear it eating. Slowly I went back to lean on the couch. I don't know how long this thing will continue eating. I looked through the rule list again to make sure I didn't miss anything, but I didn't find anything. I just decided to remove my headphones every 2 or 3 minutes to check if it was still there. 421, nope. 424, nope. 427, nope, but I did hear something else, a faint scratching coming from the wall I was facing. I almost laughed. What the hell was I supposed to do now? If I left the house, that thing would probably eat me. If I didn't, then this thing might. I feel like I'll die either way. Jesus Christ, I'm going to die. I was sweating profusely now as I desperately tried to think of a way to live. I wasted time deciding what to do. The scratching only got louder. I don't even know how long the scratching's been going on. My eyes drifted to the spot on the wall where the scratching sounds were coming from. There were tiny cracks now. In a desperate bid to stay alive, I ran out the back door, hoping that I'd be able to outrun that thing. I ran as fast as I could out onto the street, crossing the property line, before turning around. It wasn't chasing me. I guess it was too preoccupied shoveling food into its mouth. Sighing, I began walking to the grocery store to buy some energy drinks. I wouldn't be sleeping tonight. I'd gotten myself 4 cans of Red Bull. I stood just outside the lawn. The thing at the front door had left. It made a huge mess though. There was feed splattered all over the floor and some of it was even on the walls. As I walked closer to the bowl, I could see the bite marks on the feed were shaped much more like human teeth than animal, with incisors and only 4 canines. I'd have to clean all of this up now. Just looking at it made me gag. I'd rather not be anywhere near this mess, but it would be rude to leave a bloody mess at your neighbor's front door. Reluctantly, I grabbed a mop and began scrubbing. It took me almost an hour to get the mess cleaned up. Once I was done, I went inside and decided to sleep till 7 p.m. when Rule 6 would come into play. Here's a copy if you forgot. 6. Sometime during the night but before 11 p.m., Lex might suddenly start barking and clawing at the door. Open the door and let him out. Leave the door open until he comes back. Do not go outside. He might come back covered in blood. Just wash him with some water if this happens. Don't worry, he's not the one that's hurt. I woke up a half hour earlier than I'd set my alarm to go off. I sat up and looked at my surroundings groggily. I washed my face and sat down, waiting for the moment when Lex would start barking. I was looking through the rules sheet once again when I saw this. Rule 2 applies even while you're sleeping. Yep, I just blatantly disregarded the rules again. In my defense, it was just a small line added in at the end of Rule 4. I'm just happy it didn't happen while I was taking a nap, or maybe it did and I just don't know. My thoughts were interrupted by Lex's barking. He got up and ran up to the door, barking all the while, begging to be let out. I slowly got up and went over to the door. Looking out the window, I couldn't see anything at all, no streetlights or the neighbor's house, complete darkness. I was slightly unsettled, but I opened the door, trying not to stand in the opening for too long, just in case something leapt out of the darkness at me. As soon as I opened the door, Lex leapt out with much more enthusiasm than he should when playing fetch with me. I peeped out trying to see where he went, but it was no use. It was like he disappeared like everything else. I don't really know when he's going to come back, but I certainly won't be downstairs when he returns. Just being near that open door, that inky black void, made me feel like I was being watched by a predator, just waiting for me to slip up so it could pounce. I rushed upstairs and into one of the bedrooms. I took out a book and began reading. I wasn't really paying any attention to the letters on the page though. I had my ears strained trying to listen for anything that might indicate Lex's return so I could close that damn door. I remembered there being a rule about dinner timings. 7. Eat dinner before 11 p.m. or the smell might attract unwanted attention. Well, I wouldn't be eating dinner if Lex didn't arrive before 11 since the kitchen is downstairs. I sat there for almost 2 hours, but it didn't feel longer than 15 minutes. I heard faint footsteps against the wooden floor. It sounded like a dog's footsteps, but I'm not going to take any chances after the special feet incident. I tiptoed down the stairs before coming to a stop just before the front door. It was still wide open, but the owner of the footsteps was nowhere to be seen. Before I could rush back upstairs, a giant beast hit me in the side. Lex was finally back and I could eat dinner. I shut the door and looked out the window. I could see the neighbor's house and the street lights now. It seems whatever phenomenon had taken over the house was gone now, probably due to Lex's help. He wasn't covered in blood this time though. Well, I'd been through enough today. I don't think I want to risk getting fucked by whatever was inside the walls, so I'm going to sleep in one of the bedrooms. I wasn't actually going to sleep though, I'm too scared. I quickly changed into my pajamas, escorted Lex into his kennel and made my way to the master bedroom. It smelled like cheese and flowers, a weird combination. Pushing away thoughts of smell, I grabbed a key from one of the drawers. I made my way to the large window at the end of the bed. It had a large steel padlock on it. I shut the window, locked it and did the same for the door. For a fleeting moment I suspected something might have entered the house from the open window. There was nothing written in the rules about that, so it can't happen, right? Casting my thoughts aside, I pulled the covers over myself and closed my eyes.